My classmates and I have recently finished reading Animal Farm by George Orwell, a story that explores themes of propaganda and authoritarianism. In this story, Orwell uses appeal to fear to push us to realize how much it is utilized in modern society and government. As students at Foothill, we want to use our privileges to help educate others. We are spreading awareness to our fellow Foothill High School students so that we can ensure that the students at our school are educated on how propaganda, systemic injustice, and governmental corruption works.
Appeal to fear is a type of propaganda that ensures control over a group of people's emotional manipulation. This tactic is achieved through brutal persecution of anyone deemed unfit for society by ruling class, pushing the working class to fear, facing the same punishment. Animal Farm demonstrates appeal to fear mainly through Napoleon and Squealer, who conditioned the animals to fear the return of the old tyrant and punishment for rebellion.
Napoleon has two main ways of keeping his power: scapegoating or threatening. For instance, whenever Napoleon's power is threatened, the dogs are sent out to scare the animals, and Squealer references Jones and the horrible conditions they faced under him. Intermittently, Napoleon will blame every mistake and hardship on Snowball, effectively fear-mongering the animals.
In the novel, the extent to which the pigs abuse their power grows exponentially. Even today, many authority figures, especially those high up in power, such as the President of the United States of America, often misuse their power by pushing their citizens to their limits to meet their unrealistic agendas. These people often use the art of fear-mongering to pursue their narrative and push their followers to protest. For example, our current administration is creating a false narrative that immigrants or anyone matching the description of being a Latino are the reason for our financial and employment burdens, high violence rates, and even hospital wait times. They use false information to support these outrageous and misleading claims, while contradicting themselves by raiding schools and tracking undocumented immigrants through tax referrals after claiming they're uneducated and don't pay taxes. By doing this, Trump also pits the people against each other instead of focusing their efforts on him.
4 young porkers in the front row uttered shrill squeaks of disapproval, and all 4 of them sprang to their feet and began speaking at once. But suddenly, the dogs sitting around Napoleon let out deep, menacing growls, and the pigs fell silent and sat down again.
By killing those who opposed him, Napoleon was able to terrify the animals into submission, exerting complete and subjective control over what they do and say. Through the execution of the traitors, the other animals were too afraid to even think anything wrong about Napoleon, and so his power was never questioned.
During an acceptance speech for the RNC, Trump attempted to instill fear and anxiety into attenders as a method of motivation for American voters in the 2020 election. President Trump garnered fear and anxiety by voicing claims such as "no one will be safe in Biden's America."
All this political unrest was added atop of an ever-growing mountain of global unrest. Being active during the coronavirus pandemic and ongoing violence in American cities during the 2020 BLM protests, Trump is trying to convey the idea that riots and disputes will continue unless he's reelected. He is attempting to credit his argument that Biden cannot successfully keep women and college-educated voters that live in America safe.
Connected to your own experience through campaigns, social media, politics, etc. For example, on the internet, you see ads that appeal to fear to convince people to buy security apps or products, making them feel unsafe without them. While that is perceived as a much smaller example, it's the same idea. If the people think they're in danger via the absence of the product, then they'll buy it to comfort themselves.
Being able to spot fear-mongering is extremely important and can be tricky since it's normalized through commercials and corporate media. When a politician implies the loss of something following their defeat in an election, such as the loss of jobs or lives, the people will fear that outcome. In order to keep their livelihood intact, they'll vote for the side that claims to immediately improve their lives. Another form of appeal to fear is one more commonly found in dictatorships or oligarchies, much like the governmental systems shown in Animal Farm, that become the instilling fear through violence on the people. In the novel, this is done through the murder of any animal found guilty of treason, yet it could take many forms, such as police brutality, military deployment into the people, execution, torture, or control over the personal lives of the people.
Fear is a powerful motivator, being able to completely control people while simultaneously sparking their anger to move them to arms. By resisting fear-mongering propaganda and appeal to fear, corrupt rulers will struggle to gain the power and traction needed to further cement their absolution.
Furthermore, researching past events is just as important as keeping up with modern events. Lines between these events can be drawn, such as the similarities between the Tiananmen Square massacre and Trump's deployment of the National Guard onto protesters. In understanding and realizing appeal to fear, you are holding corruption and tyranny by the throat.